Hey guys, so today I want to show you real quick a little bit about how to install a SmartDSU into a Toyota Prius Prime. It's pretty much the same for any Toyota with the TSSP safety system, which is the predecessor to TSS2. And so let me just show you a few things. You're probably familiar with what a giraffe and a panda look like together. And the guy who made the SmartDSU, he had a harness. Well, he still has it. This is a version of the harness that I made myself, which these are the pass-through wires, so it's a little bit different than the way he did it. But this was just so I could do a quick proof of concept and trace some circuits and stuff. So this is kind of bulky, and giraffe is about like $75 or so. The panda retails for about $100. And then the harness that he sells, which this is my version, but his version is like $50. So start adding up parts, you're spending well over $100 or a couple $100 for a SmartDSU, the harness style, which is also kind of bulky. So ideally, if you were to do that, you'd already have the white panda and the giraffe. But if you don't, there's an alternative, and that's where I come in with my custom version. This is just beta. It doesn't have the case on it or anything right now, but I've utilized a stock DSU. This is the female connector, and I have a 3D printed male connector, and I have fake Ethernet Spec 1 RJ45. It's got the CAN 1 wires as well as ground and 12 volt positive. I don't have the other wires connected to it, partially because maybe I'm lazy, but also because I don't really need it for anything that I'm really using it for. So ZSS and pedal, this is good enough. This is all we really need. And then I'll be chopping off this OBD2 connector. I'll chop it off along this line over here, so it'll literally be half the height, and then I'll hopefully be able to shove this into a small box. I'm going to retain the USB port, and I'll retain this. It's got like a little LED there too, a multicolor LED. And if you connect it to power, so I have a little power supply here. You see the LED will come on. It conveys some good information, and it lets you know if it's working first off, because the code that it's flashed with has a predominantly yellowish kind of a tint. It'll cycle through like a green, and you might even see like a reddish tint once in a while, but it's got a sort of a yellow tint to it, so that's a good thing. I'm going to disconnect this now, and I'm going to show you how to install it in my Prius Prime. So let's go to the car. Okay, so I have the glove box out. I have this light in here. Hopefully it'll make it easier to see some things, but it's very difficult to do this kind of recording with just by myself and with a cell phone. But let's see what we can do here. So, glove box removed. Here is the DSU connector from the car, and the DSU itself that it used to be connected to. So you can see that here. So disconnecting that is just a matter of pushing that tab, pulling it out. I've also got an Ethernet cable here, and that's running through the center console area to the other side of the car to a ZSS. But anyway, so let's see, how do we connect the SmartDSU? Well, not much to it really. I recommend first taking the male connector and first connect it to the car's DSU harness. You hear a nice click because I have pretty tight tolerances on it. And then you have the female connector, and you're going to install it into the DSU. Okay, and that made a nice click because that is the an actual OEM connector that I'm using. And then you can see here the RJ45. Not everybody's going to be using this, but I do since I have a ZSS. Some people have a Toyota pedal. If you have both, well, that's pretty nice. If you have both, you can use a splitter. So that's basically like a Y splitter, or teeing off the connection. There's nothing really special about it, but so you can see that's connected. Everything is all connected, and like I said, this will have a case on it. It's going to be more compact, and then you'll just be able to shove it up in here or whatever. I'm going to turn off this light, and so when I start up the car, you can see my Comma 2 actually came up pretty quickly. It's already ready to go. And let's see, have no errors on the MFD multifunction display. And if we look at the SmartDSU, it just has a very pretty LED glowing, and that's pretty cool. And another thing that we can do is check. I'm SSH'd in, so what am I gonna do? Well, let's see here. I'm going to run a fingerprint script. And since it's actually scrolling very quick, I'm going to do a Control-C. And then we'll just take a quick look at it. And if you look very carefully, so ZSS is the code message 35. And then if you look for maybe an 800 or so, the message just before 800 is going to be 767. So I see a 767 there. It's a 4-byte message, and that lets me know that the SmartDSU is working. So some things that the SmartDSU will do for us, well, it'll make it so your car doesn't freak out if you have the Comma 2 or the Eon uninstalled. So that's nice. For most people, that's not a big concern, but if you have the DSU disconnected, it will throw up some errors. So this will avoid that because it emulates as if the DSU was there. And it will preserve the stock AEB. So I guess it's automatic emergency braking. So that's obviously very nice to keep. It's a safety feature. And then what you also get is you get the benefit of having, as if the DSU is disconnected, you'll have open pilot able to control your longitudinal control for the car, and that'll give you stop and go. So if you use the 2-line stop and go hack, that'll allow you to have some stop and go. Oh, and you can also see, if you have a ZSS, you'll see the ZSS glowing. But anyway, so you have the stop and go with the stop and go hack, or if you really want it to work really good, you connect a Toyota pedal, and the Toyota pedal will give you an even more aggressive stop and go, such that if you switch modes, so here's like the you can, on at least the Prius Prime, you can cycle through normal and sport and all that, and the sport will give you a much more aggressive stop and go. So anyway, I think that's pretty much it. I think we've covered all bases, and of course that wasn't a finished product. That was just to let you guys know how easy it is to install the SmartDSU. Thanks for watching. Bye.